Hello, YouTube! My name is Scott, and I just got around to watching Cobra Kai. Now, Season 5, Episode 2 is called Molé, and I was a little bit on the fence over which storyline to go over first, because they're both really good. Um, there's intrigue and deception on both sides, some decent character building, and really some good setup for what's to come, even if I don't know what that is yet. But to be fair, I say which story because it really just boils down to two stories. So it's really hard. They're really both good. Let's stay in California first. So Chosen was doing everything he can to, worm his way into Cobra Kai, right? He starts off by training with Tori because she's the Cobra Kai champion. And I guess he's just got that gift that like all good senseis have, where he can tell everybody's strengths and weaknesses, or apparently like all karate students, because that seems to have been a running thing in this show. But he can tell that Tori's unfocused. He's trying to teach her to fight, with honor. Makes a very good point about how nobody can take your honor from you. You can only take it from yourself, which I thought was interesting. And I suppose I should have realized that Chosen was going to be a focal point of this episode because it starts with a flashback to Okinawa in 1972 when he's training with his uncle, who admonishes him for basically cheating. They're doing this thing where they're like punching into or stabbing into what looks like a basin full of sand, and he puts a pillow in there to soften the blow because he's a kid and he doesn't want to hurt himself. Who would have thought? But anyway, flashback to the present. Chosen actually pretty quickly gets on Silver's good side. He has dinner with him at his house. They drink this exquisite whiskey. They're talking about various temples to visit in Japan. Silver shows him some apparently vintage. I don't want to say vintage. Not antique swords, but I guess old swords with a lot of provenance. And the ambition on Silver, oh my gosh, this guy. I know we don't like referencing Harry Potter and things nowadays, but this dude is a straight up Slytherin. His ambition is to take Cobra Kai worldwide. And he really wants Chosen, or as he knows him, Sensei Joe, on his side. And all seems well. I mean, they drink to it, with that same whiskey. Problem is, that whiskey is Chosen's undoing. He shows up the next day right after Tori, who, by the way, confronted Silver about, him paying off the ref in the All Valley Championship. And I don't know why that doesn't matter to her. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of expecting, since this is really a lot like a soap opera, for her allegiances to have switched a little quicker. Maybe it's just me. But she's back in to Cobra Kai. But we're at the dojo. And I brought up the whiskey a couple times because it turns out, like I said, that was Chosen's undoing. See, Silver has apparently drank a lot of whiskey where that particular brand was made by a Japanese man who went to Scotland and studied organic chemistry. But then he came back to Kyoto and built a distillery. And apparently, when you drink this particular whiskey in Kyoto with people who know it, they toast a certain way. And Chosen, who said he was from Kyoto, did not do that. So Silver brings out the other 6 senseis who are all, I guess, campaigning for the top job, and says whoever takes him down gets to be Silver's right-hand man, and he'll pay triple. Because, again, he's an old rich white guy who's got to buy everything he wants. Now, I suppose it is more honorable that all 6 of them attacked him one at a time, and it kind of fits with the whole karate ethos. But it would have made a lot more sense if they'd taken him on all together, because one at a time, he beats them all down. And basically blows up Daniel's entire plan to take him out, because what is Daniel going to do at this point to stop Silver from expanding? But I mean, Chosen escaped with his honor intact, so I guess there's that. Because yeah, Silver didn't come in at the end and just give him a beatdown. Probably because they've both studied Tang Soo Do. I don't know. Anyway, let's shift the focus to sunny Mexico. Miguel still hanging out with his father, but hasn't told him anything about it yet, and it's the one thing I was thinking the entire episode, just come clean with him. Like, at the beginning, he likes Hector so much, he's calling his mom to tell him that she was wrong about him. This is right before they go to a place called El Hoyo Verde, which is apparently a place that Hector owns, and they do MMA fights. Now, all this is important because Johnny and Robbie are still looking for Miguel. They have to deal with getting the van towed, which is very interesting because Robbie enters into this contest. It's like the show Hot Ones, which I personally don't watch, but I know it's all about people eating progressively hotter and hotter chili peppers. And Robbie eats one of the hottest peppers they have there called El Dragon. And the guy he's up against can't handle it. So they win the money that they need to get the van out of impound. Except Robbie revealed later that he actually cheated. He pocketed the pepper and substituted some snack that they had. And it's this really nice bonding moment between Johnny and Robbie because, Johnny says, like, the most badass thing he'd ever seen. After getting in touch with Carmen, they go to El Hoyo Verde, but they do the dumbest bloody thing. Johnny got these shirts, okay? They say FBI on the front and female body inspector on the back. So they walk into this place wearing shirts with FBI across the front. And that tips off Hector, who freaks out and starts checking Miguel for a wire and going through his phone. And there's this one moment, okay? He's about to swipe onto a picture of Miguel with his mom and grandmother, but the announcer of the fight says something and everybody cheers and he gets distracted. It was a little bit contrived, really, because all he had to do was glance down. But, Hector's like, okay, whatever, I'm freaking out, obviously, let's get out of here. And he gets Miguel to leave with him. That's just when Johnny and Robbie come in, and Johnny takes on the MMA champion. And the ringside announcer actually announces it because the guy was about to get in the ring. He's like, oh, now there's a fight between the Wolf and this random white guy. He calls him White Lightning because of how fast he kicks, but Johnny's not really going to win this fight. Until Robbie grabs the pepper. Apparently this is Chekhov's pepper. I guess since it was introduced, it was going to have to be used. He throws it to Johnny, who just smashes it on the guy's face. And, it's just hot enough so it's like burning his eyes. And that's how he gets out. So Hector takes Miguel to what looks like an old convenience store. It tells him, the story of Icarus and how basically he's had his mind on business kind of his whole life. And even his wife from back in the day, Miguel's mom, and her mother, they tried to stand in his way of success and he wouldn't let them. And Miguel, he finally realizes that his mom was right. His dad is not a good guy. Now, what's interesting is Hector pulled out what looked like a bottle of tequila, a gun out of his pocket, put it on the counter. When he asked Miguel if he wanted to go get something to eat, Miguel was like, nah, I'm not hungry. I should go. And he's just like, okay, take care of yourself. This guy's kind of drunk, thinks the feds are on his tail, and he's waving a gun around, and he just lets this kid that he kind of suspects leave. I don't buy it. But it was basically a setup so Miguel could walk outside and call his mom and tell her that she's coming home just as, Johnny and Robbie pull up in the van. And there's obviously some tense moment because Johnny and Miguel hug, but he sees Robbie, and who knows what's going to happen between those two. And maybe they'll patch it up on the way back to California. I don't know. Yeah, this is all feeling very soap opera-y to me. I gotta be honest. But in a good way. I've watched a few soap operas in my time, and I wasn't always invested, but this one I am absolutely invested in, and I am basically just gonna go watch the next episode right now. So anyway, that's what I thought. What do you guys think? How about you leave a comment down below, like the video, share it around, subscribe if you're so inclined, hit that bell icon for notifications when I put another one up. And until next time, I have been Scott, and this has been Just Got Around to Watching, an offshoot of opinions no one cares about. Everyone has opinions. This one was mine.